their car still in front, Fairy? I said, is their car in front?
Oh, Fairy, Florence was speaking to you.
I'm sorry, Florence. I was watching the fireflies. What did you say?
I said, can you see if they've left yet?
I wish I'd been born a cat so I could see in the dark.
Well, I don't think I'll wait for her. I think I'm just gonna get a book and go to my room.
Does your jaw hurt tonight, Jeff?
Not bad.
Then stay a little longer. We'd like to have you.
Jeff, you've already invested 267 minutes in waiting. Surely you can afford an additional 10 cents worth.
All right, my statistical friend. My curiosity is good. 10 minutes more.
I wonder what she's like. Miss Willie says they are one of the wealthiest families in America.
Oh, that's bad. She'll have an expensive camera she can't work, or rave about an artist I never heard of.
Oh, cynic! Has money spoiled me?
Do you have money, Fairy?
Thanks!
Let's not be prejudiced about money. Why, some of my best friends are wealthy. Hannibal, play something while we're waiting. Help distract Jeff.
Well, you catch me tuned. What shall it be?
Surprise us.
How about a gypsy chartish?
Please don't play gypsy music, Hannibal! It frightens me!
Frightens you?
Terrifies me! I was stolen by gypsies when I was a child and rescued. Just as they were about to dye my skin with walnut juice. Well, I was!
Go ahead, Hannibal.
I hope she likes music. Maybe she plays some instrument herself. The harp. Oh, I hope she plays the harp. I'm sorry, Hannibal. Go ahead. I was raised on a harp by father, like an angel.
Jeff, what are you doing?
Oh, I was just trying to get a book off the shelf. Sorry, Hannibal.
Fairy, get the book off the shelf for Jeff so we can listen to Hannibal.
Wait, I'll get a stool.
No, Fairy, I can get it.
No, Jeffrey. Climbing on stools is women's work. Men have mountains. Which book did you want?
The Lifespan of the Ape.
People give the strangest books to this library. I couldn't get into Forbidden Tibet.
It's amazing what standing above people does. Do you know, I feel smarter than anybody in the whole world.
It's the yellow one.
Books are in my blood. My mother invented the filing system at the New York Library. She was queen of cross index.
I'll get Jeff's book, Fairy.
No. Musicians shouldn't work.
Be careful, Fairy. Don't get dust in your eyes.
Wouldn't you like animal husbandry? I can reach that one.
No, this time it's gotta be The Lifespan of the Ape.
Goose it out with this. Lights! Turn the lights back on! Please turn the lights back on!
We'll get to the light switch before somebody's hurt.
Looks like Miss Patty's back.
Lights! Lights!
Please, Mrs. Patty, let us keep the lights on.
Some night you're going to turn the lights out at the wrong time and hurt somebody. Then you'll be sorry. I do wish you'd chosen something else to give up for Lent.
It's unfair to make the rest of us suffer to get you to heaven, Mrs. Patty.
Other people like electricity.
Now you sit at your easel like a good girl and leave the lights alone.
I must say, you startled us, Miss Willie. We thought you were in the front office.
For the love of Pete, Fairy, what are you up to?
I was just trying to get a book for Jeffrey.
With a violin bow?
I couldn't quite reach it.
I certainly didn't mean to cause all this commotion. Forget it.
No, Jeffrey, I'll get it for you. Everyone watch his own head! Timber! There you are, Jeffrey. You may take the bow, Miss Willie. And you may take my hand, Hannibal.
The
next time anyone wants a book from the top, Fairy, call me. Why, the whole shelf might have fallen on you.
Oh, whoever heard of anyone being hurt by good books?
Enough of them might, darling, and I'd hate that to happen.
I hate everything in the world, but most of all, I hate cold cream, hot dogs, codfish, crawfish, catfish, catnip, sheep dip, sawdust, subways, sewers, skewers, buttermilk, caterpillars, frictions, fractions, pins, puns, pens, policemen, and electricity. Miss Willie, how much longer do we have to wait?
What is she like, Miss Willie?
I haven't seen her. Let's tidy up the room a bit. Fairy, will you put away the Parcheesi board, please?
They're taking an awfully long time in the front office.
Is she young or old, Miss Willie?
I haven't seen her. All I know is that her name is Savage, and she gets the blue room.
I hope she isn't beautiful. Competition exhausts me.
You tied that one in a hurry, didn't you, Bingo?
Miss Willie, please, don't call me that. It's a pet name my wife uses.
I forgot.
I wish you wouldn't single me out to kiss, Miss Willie.
Well, you're the handsomest.
What if my wife came to call and saw a strange woman kissing me? She'd explode.
She would if I know her.
Would you please try to remember?
I'll try, I'm sorry.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling!
Hello? Yes, Dr. Emmett? Of course. Right away. Hannibal, will you put away the dartboard? Please don't clutter the place, darlings. Let's make a good first impression.
Will we meet her now?
I don't know.
We haven't had anyone exciting here since. That magician's wife, she was all nerves for being sawed in half so much. What was her name?
Something hyphenated.
I forget, but she had color. My relations are all so drab. Both my parents were albinos.
Really, Fairy, you shouldn't invent such things.
Well, they were. Emotional albinos.
Oh, Fairy, don't peek. It's so degrading to get on your knees.
You get on your knees to pray, don't you? I'll say a prayer. Dear God, please let me see something.
See anything?
Yes, I do. God was quick.
What do you see?
Someone coming out of Dr. Emmett's office.
Who?
1, 2, 3 strange people. They're coming in here. Let's hide in the hall and eavesdrop.
Is that ethical, Jeff?
You know we'll be sent out anyhow.
You could call it espionage.
Come, Mrs. Patty. We're going to spy.
I'll guard the light switch. It's rude to let people come into a dark room.
This is the last time I'll be a party to peeking, Fairy. Kneeling simply ruins my nylons.
I must get excited or I'll get the hiccups and betray us.
Dr. Emmett will be with you in a moment.
Please tell her that if there's nothing more, we'd like to get going back.
Yes, Senator Savage. There are cigarettes and magazines on the table. Please make yourselves at home.
Well, what do you think, Tamara? Are you reassured?
Somewhat. It certainly doesn't look like an institution.
Not at all.
Mother will be contented and happy here. I'm sure it's a charming place.
I just hope we haven't made a mistake.
Please, the only mistake we made was in not taking steps sooner.
Well, I don't like to be thought insensitive. Perhaps it might have been wiser to have left her at home with an attendant.
That would have been disastrous.
You're hard.
Someone has to be practical.
No, you're calloused. You've married too many times.
Samuel, We've done what had to be done. Let's not quarrel about it, please.
Lilybell's right. This is civilized behavior.
I'm sorry to have delayed you. I was anxious to have Dr. Johnson question your mother.
This is quite a place you have here, Doctor. It's been a great relief to us to have found it so cheerful.
And we were assured that your place was the best that money could buy.
We hope we offer the best experience can provide.
One thing I meant to ask you, Doctor, will Mother be exposed to any danger here?
Not at all. The patients in this wing are in their final stage of treatment. They are extremely kind and cooperative. On the surface, most of them would seem quite as normal as, say, yourself, Senator.
Oh, you don't say.
While we're waiting, I'd like to ask you a few more questions about this memorial fund of your mother's.
There's little more to tell. She planned on using it to give away the entire Savage estate.
The newspapers call it her happiness fund.
Was this indifference to money something recent?
I wouldn't say so.
Mother has always given money to foolish causes.
Would you mind being more specific?
Well, there's the Italian farmer who wanted a box of soil from Italy.
Just dirt.
Mother spent $200 just to get it for him.
And there was the flower peddler who wanted a tombstone for his horse.
You got it.
After Father died, this obsession got progressively worse. Last summer, she chartered a ship to send 1,000 school children around the world.
Why?
She said they had to go around the world while there was still a world around.
We stopped her, just as she was on the verge of setting up this fund legally.
With a board of directors.
With a fantastic board of directors.
Not a bishop, a banker, or a lawyer among them.
Whom did she choose?
A postman, a gardener, a veterinarian, and herself.
Who we should have known her mind was going the day she decided to go on that stage.
Oh, that! Have you ever heard of such a case before, Doctor? What would make a woman of her age suddenly decide to become an actress?
The unique is routine here, Senator. Nothing surprises us.
But if she'd been talented or even vain, I could have understood it.
But she wasn't. She was always quiet, even timid, and suddenly this amazing change.
Grief did it.
But why turn to acting? Life has enough drama in it already.
God knows.
Isn't that right, Doctor?
As Judge Savage says, God knows.
And I wish you could explain that bear to us.
Obvious exhibitionism.
Exactly.
Mother took a childish delight in being seen everywhere with that teddy bear.
Anything to indulge this sudden love for notoriety.
Her entire conduct was a travesty of dignity and self-respect.
And sound business.
Can you tell me, Senator, has there ever been a similar pattern of behavior in your mother's family?
Frankly, I don't know.
You see, Doctor, she's not our real mother. Father remarried when we were children.
Oh, I see.
But that has never made any difference in our feelings towards her.
Well, I'm afraid I can't be of much help to you until I've had time to observe her conduct here.
You're the doctor.
And we know she'll be comfortable in such a charming place.
I could see myself living here.
This is no place to laugh, Samuel.
But we encourage laughter here, Senator.
You do?
Definitely. It's good therapy. For as Byron says, and if I laugh at any mortal thing, 'tis that I may not weep.
Of course.
Yes, Miss Willie?
Excuse me, Doctor, but Dr. Johnson won't be able to complete Mrs. Savage's file at the moment.
Why not?
He finds her a little uncooperative.
Then bring her in here, please.
Yes, Doctor.
While you're saying goodbye, I'll have a talk with Dr. Johnson.
Oh, please don't go, Doctor.
Please, Doctor.
I prefer if you stayed. I think the shorter we make this, the better for all concerned.
She's vindictive.
For some reason, she holds me responsible, Doctor.
We'll have to give her a little more time to get over her resentment.
Will you come in here, Mrs. Savage?
Will you sit down, Mrs. Savage?
We waited to say goodbye to you, Mother.
I do not like thee, Lilybell. The reason why, I cannot tell. But this I know, and know full well. I do not like thee, Lilybell.
She's been chanting that over and over the entire way down here.
Your children are leaving, Mrs. Savage. Wouldn't you like to say goodbye to them? They would like to say goodbye to you, Mrs. Savage.
The fireflies are out. How lovely. What makes the fireflies light up, Doctor? Are they mating?
I really couldn't say.
I thought you'd know. Isn't this a bug house?
This is the Cloisters. This is to be your home. I'm Dr. Emmett.
Wouldn't it be fascinating if human beings lit up like fireflies? Do you light up, Lilybell? Lord knows you're flighty.
We'd better go, Tamara. She's going to be unpleasant again.
Well, surely, Mother, you're not going to let us depart in an atmosphere of bitterness.
50 needles and 50 pins and 50 dirty Republicans.
She's determined to take the wrong attitude.
It's futile.
Well, we'd better go.
I'll send up more for clothes later, Doctor. We couldn't pack but one grip under the circumstances.
Well, Sunday is Visitor's Day, if you'd care to bring them down then.
My sister's returning to Paris this week, but we'll make arrangements. Goodbye, Mother.
If there's anything you need, Mrs. Savage, Miss Wilhelmina will take care of you.
We've a lovely garden out there. You'll be able to see it in the morning. When I was a child, we always said 30 needles and 30 pins. You've added 20 more dirty Republicans.
It's a fault of mine. Exaggeration. I don't know why I try to irritate them like this. I only end up irritating myself. I suppose it has to be exasperating now to be funny later.
I noticed one of its eyes is gone. It must have fallen out in the office. I'll look for it as soon as they go.
Don't bother. It fell out last fall at the opera. I would have found it too if the usher hadn't been so nasty about my lighting matches during the magic fire music. You know what this is, don't you?
Suppose you tell me.
It's a teddy bear. Surely you've seen one before.
Not that big.
Do you know what I do with it?
I couldn't possibly guess.
I sleep with it.
Do you?
I do. Are you going to talk to me as if I were an imbecile too?
We mustn't be hostile.
Of course not. You haven't harmed me. Would you care to know why I sleep with it?
If you'd care to tell me.
I don't care, and I'll tell you. I get lonely. I'm too old to remarry and too fastidious to sleep with a cat.
Then by all means, you must take it to bed with you here. Would you care to take off your hat?
I suppose if I'm going to be spending the rest of my life here, I might as well.
It's a mighty saucy hat.
A 10-cent piece of felt and 3 chicken feathers, $85. Why economy should be so expensive, I do not know.
It takes imagination.
And the blood of pirates. But I wanted it. I wanted a hat like that since I was 16, for all the good it does me now. Suppose I won't be needing it here. You can use it. You can find some use for it.
Oh, you'd better keep it. You might need it.
Dear, oh dear, my hair looks like the matted end of a coconut.
Oh, I don't think so. It's a heavenly color.
You should have seen it last year. It was a bright red. Then, just to be different, I dyed it black. The white streak down the middle. It looked nothing so much like a skunk. Finally, I gave up and tinted it blue. Goes with everything, don't you think?
Well, it'll certainly go with your room. Wouldn't you like to go up and get settled?
Is it time to lock me up already?
I wouldn't dream of locking you up. Did you bring a suitcase?
My daughter did. I wasn't consulted.
Well, I'll get it and take you up. There'll be time to explore your surroundings tomorrow. You can wait here.
Alone?
Of course.
No handcuffs.
We have the honor system.
Honor system indeed.
Hello.
Miss Willie says the bars are only there to keep the world outside.
Corny, isn't it? Oh, it's alive!
Now, Fairy, you must stop frightening yourself.
The poor thing's quite harmless.
It won't bite.
It won't shed, lay eggs, or bark. Couldn't be less trouble.
In that case, any friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Perhaps we should introduce ourselves. You must be Mrs. Savage. I'm Florence Williams.
How do you do?
So glad to have you with us. We've been expecting you all afternoon. May I introduce Fairy May?
Say you love me.
But we've just met.
You don't have to mean it. I feel wonderful when people say they love me.
Well, I'm sure everyone loves you.
You see, I told you she wouldn't be spoiled. Welcome to the Cloisters. Climate best by government test.
Thank you.
And this is Hannibal. And this is our Mrs. Patty.
How do you do, Mrs. Patty?
I hate everything in the world, but most of all, I hate lightning, skunk cabbage, custard, mustard, spiders, blisters, girdles, mice, bees, keys, ragweed, chloroform, rhubarb, barnacles, bats, broken glass, eels, crumbs, drunks, tombstones, gallstones, salt, and thunder.
Why don't you like rhubarb?
Mrs. Patty won't answer you, Mrs. Savage. She'll only recite the things she hates.
Sweet, but stubborn.
Mrs. Patty stopped talking about 20 years ago.
Why?
She got bad.
Her husband told her to shut up.
And she did.
She gave up conversation for life.
But she has only given up electricity for Lent.
You're a very wise woman, Mrs. Patty. Why, the only thing wiser than saying very little is saying nothing at all. Would you like to hold him?
She likes you.
I like her.
Oh, you haven't met Jeff. Come here, Jeff.
Please excuse my left hand.
Certainly. Is it a toothache?
Jeff's face is scarred and he likes to spare people.
Well, you needn't spare me. I have to look at myself every morning.
Dr. Emmett refuses to let me wear a bandage.
We all have to humor our doctors once in a while.
And now you have met everyone. We are a small group in this wing, and we hope you'll find us comfortable to be with.
But Mrs. Savage hasn't met everyone. She hasn't met the Holy Terror.
Of course, how stupid of me.
Where is he, Florence?
He was here just a few minutes ago. John Thomas!
Maybe he went out to the hall.
I'll see. John Thomas!
You won't hurt him, will you?
Gracious, why should I?
You won't object, will you?
Well, what is John Thomas?
Her son. What did you think?
Here?
Oh, yes, he was born here.
I can't find a... Look. Sleep on the floor. I was afraid I'd be a bad mother. Mrs. Savage, this is my son.
You like children, don't you?
Everyone's but my own. How old is he?
5.
He's big for 5 months.
Oh no, 5 years.
Years, I meant years.
Will you excuse me now? I have to put him to bed. He has measles. I do hope you won't catch them. Excuse me.
That was very kind of you, Mrs. Savage. Not to notice anything wrong.
There wasn't time to explain, but you were like lightning.
Poor Florence isn't well. We pretend for her sake. We hope you will too.
Oh, I will.
Oh, do be quiet.
Tyrant!
What is that?
That rude noise is a signal for us to go to our rooms.
It's the evil of the machine age. Perfect pistons and no manners.
Well, ours is not the reason why. I wonder why no one ever quotes the first part. It's, someone blundered?
Well, good night.
No, I didn't hear you. We don't say that here. It means there's no more.
No more of what?
Oh, no more of so much.
Don't let Jeff's manner disturb you, Mrs. Savage. During the war, his plane was shot down in flames. He hasn't quite recovered yet.
Was he badly burned?
Oh, not at all. Jeff bailed out. But he was the only one. He lost his crew. His scar goes deeper than we can see.
Surely you've guessed by now that Hannibal and I are the only guests here free to leave. We couldn't tell you that in front of the others. We pretend to save their pride. I'm sorry, Mrs. Patty. I forgot you were still here. I didn't mean you anyhow. Oh, I can tear my tongue out. Will you excuse me? If I don't apologize, she'll sulk.
Fairy has the gift for saying the wrong thing.
Well, I should suppose it would take quite a lot of bit of doing to apologize to someone who doesn't speak and sulks anyhow.
You'll get used to Mrs. Patty. Just treat her like a clock. Look at her to see how the day goes, but don't expect an answer. She's happy at her easel.
Is she an artist?
I don't know whether she is an artist or not, but she paints
Portraits?
seascapes, which is rather odd because she's never seen the ocean.
I forgot to warn you, Mrs. Savage. Stay awake. If you go to your room, don't sleep.
What does she mean about not sleeping?
None of us sleeps here.
Where do you sleep?
We don't. Oh, we go to our rooms. We've all agreed to that in principle, but we stay awake. We never close our eyes. When you go to sleep, today ends. And when today ends, tomorrow begins. Today we're safe. Tomorrow may be filled with disaster. You won't catch us sleeping. Could anything be simpler?
Not much.
Today's the only certainty.
Hannibal, you heard the buzzer. Why aren't you in your room?
I am in spirit, and everyone says it's the spirit that counts. Remember, fight the night.
Did they all come in to meet you?
Mrs. Patty and 4 others who have no business being here at their age.
I quite agree.
Do you think I belong here?
We're understaffed, Mrs. Savage. I'm kept too busy to have any opinions.
I want to know what they told you about me.
Was there anything to tell?
Did they mention my memorial fund?
Not to me.
Then I suppose they told you my husband's death affected my reason.
That would be understandable.
But untrue.
Why? Weren't you happy with your husband?
I married Jonathan when I was 16. I loved him from the moment I met him until the moment he died. Do you know what that means?
I think so.
Well, you don't, my dear. It means my only aim in life was to make him happy, to want what he wanted, to anticipate what would please him. And that meant all the things I ever wanted had to be forgotten.
But surely you had no regrets.
None, while he lived. But after he was gone, I remembered all the foolish things I had always wanted to do.
And what had you always wanted to do?
Things that would have shocked poor Jonathan.
Such as dyeing your hair blue?
That, and ballet. And people. As a young girl, I was sure I could have been a great actress. So, with no responsibilities and time running out, I decided to become one.
But don't you think you waited too long?
Certainly. Had I been a fool in my youth, no one would have noticed the difference in my old age.
I never think of you as old, Mrs. Savage.
Well, having kicked over the traces of myself and learned once again the importance of unimportant things, I decided I'd help others have the foolish dreams they had always wanted.
And how are you going to do that?
By establishing the Jonathan Savage Memorial Fund, a foundation dedicated to giving away money to others. And that foolish idea has brought me here.
Well, you won't find it too unpleasant here. Shall we go up to your room now?
At least I learned one thing from my French lessons.
What's that?
What I am. A mort canard. That's dead duck, I think.
It's not as bad as that.
Yes, it is. One day you'll realize a great injustice has been done to me. You'll know I was always quite sane. But here I am, and here they'll try to keep me. My few foolish years taken from me. People would walk along the edge of a carpet once in a while, would save the wearing out in the middle.
Beautiful, beautiful. What would we do without you, Hannibal? You bring melody to the morning.
You could be in the concert field, Hannibal, if you worked at it.
Oh, you're so right, Jeff. Golden fingertips. I simply surrender to it. I'm a rag.
Oh, do come in, Mrs. Savage.
I trust you had a pleasant, sleepless night.
Lovely, thank you. Not a wink.
You've just missed Hannibal's recital.
Oh, I heard it, my dear. As a matter of fact, it's what brought me out of my room.
You wouldn't believe it, but Hannibal never touched a violin until last year.
What makes you think I wouldn't believe it? Was it something you composed yourself, Hannibal?
Bach, with variations of my own.
Mathematics loss was certainly our gain.
No, I don't quite follow that, Fairy.
Fairy knows I used to be a statistician.
Thank you. Now I'm straight.
Give him a fraction to multiply.
I'm afraid I wouldn't know if he was right or not.
My last position was with the government, charting trends. I was supposed to keep my finger on the pulse of the public and my ear to the ground.
A rather vulnerable position, isn't it?
Very. I was fired and replaced by an electronic calculator.
I should think you'd hate electricity too.
No, but I did want to make money with my brains. So I spent the next 2 years trying to think of something that could be made for a dime, sold for $1, and was habit forming. I'm afraid my education was wasted.
I'm going to send John Thomas to Princeton. Their boys aren't very smart, but they're such gentlemen.
Oh, that reminds me. May we ask you a personal question, Mrs. Savage?
They're the only ones worth asking, my dear.
Miss, a bird told us you used to be an actress. We're bursting with curiosity. Is it true?
Well, if being on stage makes you an actress, then I suppose it is true.
Miss Willie, she's the bird Florence mentioned, said that you'd been on the New York stage.
I wonder if we've ever seen you, Mrs. Savage.
Not unless you were quick. I was only in 2 plays. The first was Macbeth.
I adore Macbeth. All that blood. I sent a pint of my blood to the Red Cross once. They sent it back.
I should imagine you a novel departure as Lady Macbeth.
I can't tell you how much I agree with you. But they cast me as a witch.
But you're a perfect witch.
Thank you, dear.
Please speak some witch talk for us.
I'm afraid I didn't have any lines. If I had, it would have cost me twice as much.
Why did it cost you anything?
I backed the show. If I hadn't put up the money, I couldn't have even played the mute witch. But I suppose we made history. We were the first show to close down before the reviews came out.
Was it expensive?
Extremely, but worth it.
Were you discouraged?
Bitterly. But man is by nature optimistic. If he weren't, he'd eat his young. So I decided to write a play and star in it myself.
You wrote a play?
I did indeed. With a courage born of ignorance and a plot out of wedlock.
What part did you play then?
Naturally, the lead. Not Guilty, starring Ethel P. Savage.
What does the P stand for?
I haven't the faintest idea. My numerologist said I needed it in my name for luck. He was right. We ran a year.
What was the play about?
A mother who'd murdered a man and was defended by a young woman lawyer who turned out to be her own daughter. I had red hair and died in my daughter's arms every night and 2 matinees a week, just as the curtain closed down and the jury whispered, "Not guilty." I've never had a better time in my life.
I gather their notices were good that time.
Well, they were sincere.
What
but
did they say?
The Times said my place at the theater back 50 years, and it couldn't possibly, because I stole the plot from Madam X, and that's only 40 years old.
Wouldn't you think they'd know?
But the Wall Street Journal was wonderful. It said I brought something new to the theater.
Buddy?
Oh, really, Fairy? Money isn't new.
What did Wall Street say?
Said I had a tenacious mediocrity, unhampered by taste.
But that's not good.
It was perfect. In our ads, we simply said tenacious and unhampered.
And you ran a year?
We'd be running yet if my daughter hadn't come home to stop me. Oh, I know I was bad, and audiences only came to laugh at me, but we both had a good time. What more can you ask? Oh, I do miss it. Oh well, my turn is coming.
I don't think that was very nice of your daughter. Don't! Don't do it, please! Don't!
Fairy, what is wrong?
Look! Mrs. Savage is going to read the newspaper!
Oh.
Okay, what's the matter?
I wouldn't do that if I were you, Mrs. Savage.
Please, give it to me. Please.
You
Mrs. Savage.
You mustn't read it.
It'll only make you unhappy.
Now, just a moment. I know what this paper is going to say, so there's nothing you can do to hide it from me. I've just been waiting for it to happen.
Waiting for what to happen, Mrs. Savage?
Why, what it says in the paper.
But we don't know what it says in the paper.
Then why are you trying to keep me from reading it?
We have an agreement.
We never read the newspapers until they're a month old.
We find we're much happier when we wait.
What are you waiting for?
Why, naturally, we're waiting for... What do we wait for, Hannibal?
A perspective.
Peace of mind.
Security.
We find that we like unpleasant things a month after they've happened.
It's reassuring when you know it's over and nothing can be done.
My dear people, there is something in this paper that I'd like to know about. And I'd like to know about it now, not next month.
We're only trying to help you.
Yes.
Disaster is more easily digested when it's aged a little.
You're very kind, but I've made my bed, and I'd like to know who's in it.
We can't prevent Mrs. Savage from reading the paper if she insists. We don't know her well enough to be rude.
Florence is right.
Well, if you read about anything unpleasant, don't tell us. Oh.
If there's any trouble in the world, it won't help us to know about it.
This is yesterday's paper. I want today's paper.
Oh, it isn't here yet.
When does it come?
I don't know.
Is there a radio around here somewhere?
Right there.
Maybe I can catch the news. Why didn't someone mention that there was a radio?
You didn't ask us.
The set doesn't light up. Does it work?
I think so. Well, of course, it hasn't got any tubes.
It hasn't got any what?
Tubes. Mrs. Patty steals them. She hates electricity, you know.
No one knows where she hides them.
Why didn't anyone mention that the set had no tubes?
'Cause you didn't ask us.
Oh dear, oh dear. How high is that wall?
Much too high.
It's easily 10 chairs high.
And I suppose no one ever leaves that great big gate open.
Don't look beyond the gate, Mrs. Savage. There might be a better place somewhere, but if you give this up to search for it, you might not find it and lose what you have.
You'll like it here after a while.
Except in January, the rooms get a little cold.
We like you already.
It isn't that I don't find you all enchanting, but you,
But you.
But we what?
Please don't say anything mean. Oh, still be still.
We have to go, Mrs. Savage.
But where?
It's garden hour.
We each have a little plot and we plant things. You can plant anything you wish. Flowers or vegetables.
Last year, I planted bird seed to see what would come up.
What did come up, Fairy?
Nothing. But it was a rich horticultural experience.
At Christmas time, there's a beautiful evergreen at the center, which we hang lights on it saying, "Merry Christmas, keep out."
Come with us, Mrs. Savage. I'll show you my delphiniums.
Please, go on without me. I have some serious thinking to do. I'll just stay here.
But the buzzer buzzed. One has to obey orders.
May I ask why you're doing that, Mrs. Savage?
I believe in wearing out a carpet evenly.
Oh, how prudent! I'm going to help.
But don't you have to garden?
This is more constructive.
I'll help too. We must all do our share.
But I didn't mean to start a procession.
Come, boys. Many feet make light work.
Why not, Jeff? It's a refreshing change. Most women lead us in circles.
Go ahead, Mrs. Savage. We're behind you.
But I feel like the Pied Piper.
You step on leaves, Jeff. Hannibal can take buds. Mrs. Savage can have roses. And the rest of us will walk on thorns.
Do you know what we're doing, Miss Willie?
Wearing out the carpet evenly?
Oh, somebody told you.
Didn't I hear the buzzer ring garden hour?
I didn't hear it. I think it's broken.
Fairy, aren't you ashamed?
I'm horrible!
I'm afraid it's my fault, Miss Willie.
I didn't feel like gardening anyhow.
But you worked so hard with your flowers. Do you want them to die, Florence?
I don't want anything to die.
Oh, that's so true. Florence wouldn't hurt a fly. She catches them and puts them out the window. Flies adore her.
I think we'd all better go out and work in the garden. Fairy, share your seeds with Mrs. Savage. Run along now. Aren't you going with them?
I'd like to speak with you. Alone.
All right. What can I do for you?
A great deal. But it might be that I can do a great deal for you, too.
Are you about to offer me a bribe, Mrs. Savage?
How did you know?
Everyone does, at first.
Well, still, my offer's different. I have the money. I'll pay you $20,000 to leave that great big gate open tonight. $30,000.
Don't you like us, Mrs. Savage?
That is a most irritating answer to a sound business deal. $40,000. You could be rid of this place too.
But I don't want to be rid of it.
$50,000. You could see the world. See Cairo, Mandalay, the South Pacific.
I've been to Cairo, and I've seen Mandalay and the South Pacific.
You have?
I had 4 years as an army nurse.
Well, still, you should find some use for $50,000.
Now, where would you get $50,000, Mrs. Savage? That's a fortune.
Never you mind. In the current idiom, 50,000 is peanuts.
I believe you, but I'm afraid I will have to refuse.
Then you leave me no choice but to burn this place down.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, yes, I would.
Too many people here wouldn't know how to save themselves. You'd think of them first.
If you believe I belong here, why are you appealing to my reason?
I wasn't. I was appealing to your emotion.
It doesn't matter. I'll get out soon enough. Just that bribing you would have been cheaper. Now it'll cost me a couple million at least.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Is Mrs. Savage downstairs?
She just this minute went out into the garden.
What is her state of mind this morning?
The usual. She's already offered me a bribe.
What did she offer you?
The highest yet. 50,000. The poor dear.
Did she sound confident?
Definitely manic. She talked as if she still controlled her own affairs.
Apparently she does. Read this. I've just been talking to her children. They're practically out of their minds themselves. The senator will leave Washington at once, pick up her sister in New York and the judge in Boston, and be here by tonight.
This is the most amazing story I've ever read. When did they discover it?
I gathered this morning. They asked me to confine her to her room.
I don't understand. How could she have gotten away with so much money?
Apparently her husband left the estate to her. She's been secretly selling out control ever since.
$10 million. That's a typographical error, isn't it?
No, they had it all right.
But what could she have done with it?
As her son says, God knows.
Could she have spent it?
I doubt it. Will you call her, please? I'd better tell her what to expect.
Mrs. Savage, will you come in here, please? Dr. Emmett would like to speak with you. Are you going to place her in seclusion?
Of course not. Though sometimes I wish there was a way of placing their relations in seclusion. They are always much more trouble than the patients.
Do you think she knows what happened to the money?
If she does, she's the only one.
Is there any possibility that there's a method in her madness?
Miss Willie, I find it harder every day to say exactly where reason ends and madness begins. For the moment, I must accept the presumptive evidence of her stepchildren.
Well, from what I've heard, her daughter's record in Congress would give any good psychiatrist a nasty turn.
It certainly would. And the sensationalism of her younger daughter's 6 divorces doesn't speak too well for her emotional stability either.
Did you want me, Doctor?
Yes, good morning. Will you help out on the switchboard, Miss Willie? Miriam has been deluged with calls from newspapers.
Yes, Doctor.
Please sit down, Mrs. Savage.
I think I know why you called me here.
Do you?
I see you have the morning papers. I was wondering how long it would take them to find out.
Then you're aware of what you've done and the consequences.
Oh, it's too early for consequences, Doctor. May I see it?
The senator phoned from Washington. We can expect them by tonight.
Indeed we can. Well, I'm not going anyplace.
How could you possibly have spent $10 million without someone knowing about it?
Who said I spent it?
That paper says you did.
What do they know? I didn't spend it. I couldn't. I hid it.
You hid it?
In nice $500,000 negotiable bonds that can't be traced.
Why?
For my memorial fund.
I'm sorry this has happened, Mrs. Savage. I'm afraid your hidden treasure is going to prove a great disadvantage to you.
That's because you're a doctor. And doctors never know the value of money.
Would you like to know how long it would take me to earn that much money, Mrs. Savage?
Oh, excuse me. I came back to get my violin. Fairy May wants music while she plants her seeds.
Oh, just a moment, Hannibal. You're a statistician. How long would it take the average doctor to earn $10 million?
Well, he'd have to start before Christ was born and work through the burning of Rome to the burning of St. Joan and Savonarola. With time out, of course, for the Norman Conquest, the Crusades, the 100 Years' War, the 30 Years' War, and the 7 Years' War. So, he'd have to work double time during the discovery of America up to penicillin and bubblegum. But that's without deducting federal tax, state tax, city tax, school tax, luxury tax, and amusement tax. You'd add 100 years for that.
Thank you, Hannibal. It's a great deal to be responsible for, Mrs. Savage.
Well, what's the doctor up to now?
A bit of emotional blackmail, I would guess. Hannibal, would you take one look at me and guess that I'm worth $10 million off the hoof?
Never. The human body only has 20 cents worth of calcium in it, 10 cents worth of iodine, 20 cents worth of phosphorus, and, well, even at the present high prices, nobody is worth over $1.50.
So you value me at $1.50?
Never. You said worth. Your value is inestimable.
I like you, Hannibal. I like you a lot. You make me feel happy. You make me feel like dancing.
Splendid. What shall I play?
Anything.
I am very good on The Flight of the Bumblebee.
Could anything be more perfect? The bees come home to find their honey missing. Someone's gonna get stung. Play, Hannibal.
Are you reading?
Yes, dear.
Is it interesting?
Very.
I'm not disturbing you, am I?
Now, what would make you think that, Fairy May? What's the matter?
Nothing. It's just that no one has said they loved me this livelong day.
Why, yes, they have.
Oh, no, they haven't. I've been waiting.
I heard Florence say it at the dinner table.
Did she?
Did I?
She said, don't eat too fast, Fairy.
Was that saying she loved me?
Of course. People say it when they say, take an umbrella, it's raining out. Or, hurry back. Or even, watch out, you'll break your neck. There are thousands of ways of saying it, my dear. You just have to listen for it.
My dentist said I had perfect occlusion. Do you think he was telling me he loved me?
Why, what else? I remember the first time I met my husband, I was riding horseback. And he said I had a good seat. I knew right then that he loved me.
Thank you, Mrs. Savage. I've been missing so much. Oh, my dentist loves me.
Now, is there anything else I can clear up for you?
Nothing. I'm sorry I disturbed you. Thank you and forgive me.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes, Florence?
I'm keeping score and the boys won't help me. What's 7 and 5 and 4?
49.
But Mrs. Savage!
It's my own system, Hannibal. I refuse to submit to the tyranny of mathematics.
Then I win.
I'll keep score after this.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes, Fairy.
there is one other thing you can clear up for me. Why is it suddenly Sunday again when it was Sunday only yesterday?
What makes you think it's Sunday, dear?
If your children are coming to see you, then it must be Sunday because that's Visitor's Day. I guess I had an awfully good time this week.
It isn't Sunday, dear. My brood are coming back early because they couldn't wait a week.
That should make you happy.
It should, but it doesn't.
Excuse me, don't you like them?
Not at all.
Oh, I think that's a wicked thing to say.
We all have to be wicked once in a while to get God's attention. But if it consoles you, they were not my own. My husband left me with 3 small children.
But you must have liked them when they were little.
I wanted to make them my own, desperately. But they always resented me. And the first time I put my arms around Lily Bell, she bit me. And she bit me every day until she was 10.
That must have made you very high-strung.
What stopped her at the exact age of 10?
I don't know. Suppose at 10 a girl starts to consider her teeth.
Well, boys are always so much better.
Not always. My children have been spoiled by money. Whenever I try to correct them, they break something that I treasured just to get even with me. It was a good day when they went away to school.
School must have taught them something.
Yes, French. Whenever they came home, they spoke nothing but French, so I couldn't understand them. Haven't understood them since.
Well, you must be proud of them now. The senator's quite famous, isn't she?
That she is, make no mistake. She has the distinction of having more telegrams sent to her than any other senator in Congress. Why, I think Western Union lists her as a tangible asset.
If she's so unpopular, then why do the voters keep sending her back to Washington?
They're no fools. It's the only way to keep her out of the state.
Your son's a judge, isn't he?
Well, that's a distinction.
He's made it one. He has the distinction of having more of his decisions overturned than any other man in jurisprudence.
Are your daughters pretty, Mrs. Savage?
Well, there's a picture of the youngest one in the paper.
Oh, please don't read us anything out of the paper.
I won't read you anything. I'll just show you her picture and you can judge for yourself.
We don't look at pictures either.
People are always pinned under trucks.
I'll peek first to make sure it isn't horrible.
Well, even I don't say it's horrible.
She's a queen! She's wearing a crown!
A queen?
That's a tiara, Fairy. It's an old picture, back when she was married to her Slavic prince.
Let's look, Hannibal. Be polite.
Then she's a princess?
No. She discarded her prince a good 6 husbands ago.
Oh, but why?
Hell hath no music like a woman playing second fiddle.
But she kept the tiara?
Indeed she did. I suspect she sleeps in it.
I don't know when I've seen a prettier tiara.
The dress is cut rather low, isn't it?
I don't like her. Let's do something mean to her.
Why, Fairy?
I don't mean really mean. Something like putting her picture on the dartboard and throwing darts at it.
Fairy.
You're a sweet girl. That's exactly what we'll do.
Oh, you wouldn't.
I need exercise, my dear. Now, what will I pin you up with?
Mrs. Patty has some thumbtacks.
Oh, Fairy, I'm so disappointed in you.
I'm so ashamed.
That's a beautiful seascape, Mrs. Patty. Why, I can almost smell the ocean. I think your genius lies in the simplicity. You challenge the imagination. Could I borrow 4 thumbtacks? Thank you.
It's setting a very bad example for motherhood.
Don't you like surprises, Florence?
Yes?
Well, I want to surprise Lilybell. Haven't you ever done anything wicked?
No.
Well, today's a good day to start. I'll tee off for tonight. Let's set the target. Right in the tiara.
Something dreadful's going to happen, I know.
Do stop worrying.
Everybody to the upstairs study. Mrs. Savage's visitors are here.
Miss Willie, may I stay? I never get to see strangers anymore. Please let me.
I'm sorry, Fairy, but the senator insisted on privacy. Everybody out.
Someday when I'm ordered out, I'm just gonna go without saying a word. I have as much pride as anyone.
All the way upstairs now.
How's the weather out there?
Stormy. Here are your visitors, Mrs. Savage.
That will be all. You can wait outside.
I'll leave the latch off and wait at the hall desk.
I don't know what to say to you, Mother, for the life of me. I don't know what to say.
Polite people say good evening.
Deception is so unlike you.
I'm not angry, I'm just hurt.
Have you any idea of the enormity of what you've done? You sold control of 15 Savage Industries.
We'll have to sell our stock in Savage Brass to buy it back.
Oh, didn't you find out? I got rid of that first.
I mustn't get excited. I get lines.
What else? What else did you dispose of?
Everything in my name.
We're ruined.
Well, where's the money? You couldn't have spent it all.
Tell us what you did with it, dear.
I converted it into a neat little bundle of negotiable bonds and buried them.
When you say buried, you mean hidden, right?
I mean buried, as in funeral?
In the ground?
I feel physically ill.
Where's it buried?
I forget.
Oh, Lord, grant my mother one moment of clarity.
Where did you bury it? Concentrate!
Best thing in the world for taking out lines with Lilybell. Oh, we have got to see about getting you a new eye. Do you know any place that sells bare eyes, Lilybell?
Give me that stupid thing and answer us!
Miss Willie! Help! Lilybell, wait! You're just antagonizing her. We'll get nowhere shouting.
I'm sorry, Mother. Hold your bear. We forget that you're sick.
What we must make you understand, Mother, is that the money involved isn't what concerns us. So much as the disgrace of all this with your... What happened?
She bit me!
Nonsense! Whatever Mother might do, she wouldn't descend to biting.
It was a wasp.
If ever there was a wasp, it's the woman that we call Mother! I know and I bit it!
There's no need to raise your voice.
Does it hurt?
Of course it hurts!
Lilybell, stop shouting. We can't afford it.
You can't afford anything.
We simply refuse to be angry with you, Mother. Lilybell, apologize.
I will not!
Lilybell!
Mother. I don't object to your biting me. Gnaw and mangle me to the bone. Gum me to your heart's content. Just tell us what you did with our money!
My money. You've had your share.
The estate is ours. It's been in the Savage family for generations.
8 generations.
It's unthinkable that you should be the first savage to be found wanting.
Found wanting what?
The savage pride. Now, I want you to listen very carefully to what I have to say. The estate has always been a sacred trust. We've never considered ourselves possessors of a great fortune, but custodians of... Don't do that!
Look, I just asked you to look! She's been throwing darts at my picture!
Well, what of it? That can't possibly hurt you.
It's a vicarious form of murdering someone! It's just the most vicious sort of voodoo magic known to science!
We're losing ground.
We were fostered by a werewolf, every savage son of us!
My patience is exhausted. What have you done with the money?
I told you, I buried it.
Where? Unless you tell us at once, you are going to a public institution. We will not tolerate this criminal waste.
You've got me in such a state I can't think. Having a brain in my head anyhow, you've said so time and time again.
Not me.
With all this shouting, you've given me a headache. Can't remember a thing.
What do you mean you can't remember a thing? Of course you can!
No, I can't. My head is pounding.
Tamara, be careful.
Can we get anything for you?
The only thing that clears my head are those powders I used to take.
Where are they?
I'm out of them.
We'll get more.
Will you?
Of course.
I think I wrote on the notepad over there the prescription number for my druggist in Boston.
You mean drive all the way back to Boston?
Where is everyone?
Are you ill?
Tamara, it's dangerous. You better get the prescription, get the prescription and come back in the morning. We're not going to accomplish anything tonight.
Yes, I agree with you. You get the prescription filled.
Get it filled, Samuel. When we go home, I'm going straight to bed.
Are you prepared to tell us what you've done with those bonds in the morning?
Pound, pound, pound.
I'll tell the chauffeur we're ready.
Now, what got into him? Well, we'd better go then. We'll be back first thing in the morning.
Pound, pound, pound.
Come, Lily Bell, I'll have Dr. Emmett give her a sedative.
Lily Bell.
What do you mean by
I've got something important to tell you. About the bonds, close the door.
well?
I want to tell you, and you alone, where I hid them.
Why me?
Samuel and Tamara are fools. If anything were to happen to me overnight, the bonds would be lost.
It was Tamara who wanted you here, not I. Where did you hide them?
Where would you hide $10 million if you didn't trust banks?
I don't know.
Under a rock?
Of course not.
Under your mattress? Heaven knows you're never far from your mattress. But if you were, and the house were to catch on fire...
Are you going to tell me or not?
Have you ever been to the Museum of Natural History?
No.
Very educational and fireproof.
Mother, please.
Do you know what's on the 3rd floor?
How could I?
The Department of Ichthyology.
What are you talking about?
Fish! On the 3rd floor, in the last room, hanging from 2 wires, is a big, dusty porpoise.
And?
I stuffed my bonds in the stuffed fish when no one was looking.
I don't believe you.
Name me a safer place.
Only a fool would do such a thing.
That's me.
How could you get a package of bonds inside a stuffed fish?
Easy. A razor blade and some scotch tape.
How do I know you're telling the truth?
Well, there's one simple way to find out.
You must think I'm very gullible. Well, I have no intention of hunting around inside a stuffed fish!
Are we to hold the car all night for you, Lily Bell? Samuel's honking.
Let him honk.
Dr. Emmett will be with you in a moment.
Tamara,
Yes?
kiss me goodbye.
You bit Lily Bell. I don't trust you.
That's ironical, because I trust you. I was just getting ready to tell you where the bonds are.
You know, I never wanted you here. I listened to Lily Bell.
Then you'll get me out of here and let me alone.
You know I will.
Then I'll tell you. They're in a tin box.
Where?
Do you remember when I went to Washington with that group from Actors Equity?
No.
Well, I do. It was National Ethel Week. We went to have lunch with the First Lady. There was Ethel Barrymore, Ethel Merman, Ethel Waters, Ethel...
What are you talking about?
I hid my bonds in the president's hothouse.
I don't believe you.
You didn't believe Pearl Harbor until you investigated.
Oh, why would you choose such a public place? Everyone in and out.
Well, I'm not very bright.
And I'm the only one who can't get into the White House.
You should agree with him oftener.
How do I know you didn't imagine this?
There's one sure way to find out. Dig.
Oh no, I'm not falling into that trap. Your bonds aren't buried there.
Yes, they are. Under the petunias in the corner.
Tamara, unless you hurry, Samuel is going off without us.
I'm coming. I refuse to believe you.
We listened. We're horrible.
We're quite ashamed.
It's all my fault.
We wanted to stop listening and sneak away, but we couldn't without making too much noise.
It's no secret. It's quite all right. If you read the papers, you'd know.
Did you really hide all that money?
I did indeed, for my memorial fund.
And now you're giving it away.
You're very generous for your size and weight.
But you didn't tell the judge where his share was.
The prescription was really a note saying to dig under the chimney.
Why would you hide the bonds only to tell them where they were?
What makes you think I did?
We heard you.
Foolish I am, but not that foolish. Whatever is in the chimney, or under the president's petunias, or stuffed in that stuffed fish, I can assure you, is not my little bundle of bonds.
Then why did you say they were?
I want to see to what extent they'll make fools of themselves.
Oh! Nothing makes the truth seem so shabby as a magnificent lie! How splendid!
But how do you know they'll believe you?
They want to believe me,
They might consider it degrading to go out digging.
but they will.
But how can you be sure?
There are a million things a man won't do for $5, but there aren't 5 things a man won't do for $1 million. They'll dig.
I'm sorry. You startled me. I didn't know anyone else was here.
I didn't know you could play the piano.
I only play when I'm alone.
You shouldn't be so shy. No one's going to compare you with a professional.
But I am a professional.
Oh?
I made my debut at Town Hall a week before the war. Jeffrey Meredith. See?
Why, it says you were brilliant. Forgive me, Jeff. I should have known.
I was gonna play with the Philharmonic, but I didn't. But I had the contract to prove that I might have.
But you never play, Jeff. Please go on. I'd like to hear you.
No, I don't like to be stared at.
I'll look the other way and listen.
No, I'm just not ready to face people yet. Please don't insist.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Thank you. Can you keep a secret?
About 10 minutes.
Dr. Emmett really isn't a doctor at all.
What is she?
A patient, like Miss Patty.
Do you think so?
For 5 years now, he's promised to give me a new face.
She's a real doctor, Jeff. It says so on her office door. She wouldn't lie about that.
Do you believe people are who they claim to be?
I'm a trusting soul. I try to believe the best in people.
It's best to believe the worst. If you believe the worst, then the worst is only half bad at best. And the best is no worse than expected. So it's best to believe the worst.
You know, that's just obscure enough to be profound. What does it mean?
It's simple. When a man says he's wise, you call him a fool. But if he says he's a fool, you believe him.
Well, only a fool claims to be wise.
Exactly. Which proves I'm right. Dr. Emmett is a fool. She claims she's a doctor, but the war was over 5 years ago. Where's her miracle?
Some things take a long time to heal, Jeffrey.
I can't wait much longer. I'm getting old. I'll be 26 soon.
And that's ancient. But why don't you forget your appearance and play anyhow? Don't condemn your audience before you give them a chance to be kind.
Look at me and tell me an audience wouldn't shudder at the sight of me.
I see nothing to hide, Jeff.
Dr. Emmett told you to say that.
No, she didn't. I promise. But I'd trust her if I were you. Give her a little more time.
All right. Guess I can give her 5 years more.
Fair enough.
You know something?
Not a thing. I'm awed only by the magnitude of what I do not know.
I wouldn't say this to anyone else, but Hannibal really can't play the violin.
No!
Yes.
Well, of course, I'm tone deaf.
I'll tell you something else. I wish I was.
Well, you're a sweet boy to pretend.
Poor Hannibal can't play, yet he does. I really can, but I won't. Don't you think that's funny?
Not very.
There's a rat in the hole! A rat as big as a mouse! Climb up on a chair quickly, Mrs. Savage!
Fairy, what am I going to do with you?
You've put me right off my coffee.
You know there's no rat in the hall.
Well, Mrs. Savage does it. She's bored here, and I intend to make life exciting for her.
Thank you, Fairy. I'll have you know you just added 50 years to my life. That puts me well over the 100 mark.
Oh, then we must have a birthday party! I'll make candles!
You'll sit quietly and drink your coffee.
Oh dear. I ate too much again.
You shouldn't exercise right after a meal, Hannibal.
I know. But if I wait till I'm comfortable, my conscience won't needle me.
Are you sure there have been no calls or messages for me today?
Positive.
Is there any way we could send to the village and get tonight's newspaper?
Well, if you finish serving the coffee, I can ask Dr. Emmett.
Gladly.
Here's your coffee, Bingo.
But Florence hasn't been served.
Don't stand on manners, Jeff. Miss Willie knows just how you like your coffee. I'll get my own.
Very well. Thank you.
You're annoyed.
You single me out for attention, Miss Willie. It's unfair, and it makes me uncomfortable.
Jeff, I'm so tired tonight. I must have forgotten. You'll have to forgive me.
That's all right. I forget too.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the best dressed of them all? Fairy who?
Cream in your coffee, Fairy?
Please, do you think this dress does anything for me? I made it myself.
It's a sheer delight. Sugar?
5. There wasn't time to finish it. I put it together with pins.
Hannibal,
No, thank you.
do you want to know a way to make that exercise enjoyable?
An enjoyable way of exercising has yet to be invented.
Well, I know of an improvement. All you need is a deck of cards.
I went to a fortune teller when I was 14. Everything he told me turned out wrong. I never believed in cards after that.
Very, very, very.
Now, just throw them up in the air
Why?
to exercise. All that's left to do is pick them up one by one again.
Oh, I like that. It's tidy.
I learned it in a beauty course.
Thank you, Mrs. Savage. It's a great improvement.
Wouldn't it be easier to pick them up sideways?
Much. Man was made all wrong. His stomach should be in back. When he bends, it's in the way. When he kneels, his legs buckle out instead of folding neatly behind him. And why should his nose be in front? It only gets in the way when he kisses.
Oh, you're so right!
I guess God was in a hurry.
Well, Hannibal, what are we doing now?
We're exercising.
Well, would you postpone it for a little while? Would you all go upstairs to the study for a few moments? I want to talk to Mrs. Savage. Florence, would you take the coffee up with you?
Oh, I do hate having coffee upstairs. It's so middle class. Where's John Thomas?
I think you left him on the phonograph, Florence.
Oh, yes. He adores the classics.
Upstairs, downstairs, till I think I'll scream. May I stay, Dr. Abbott? No, you may not.
Miss Willie tells me you seem anxious to see tonight's papers. Why?
Habits?
Well, here they are. It will undoubtedly please you to know you've caused considerable trouble again.
Have I? Oh, look. Tamara on the front page. Senator trapped in White House hothouse.
I've just been talking to her. She's exceedingly angry.
Imagine pulling up all those petunias. What will people think?
As a result of this, your position here has deteriorated considerably.
And my disposition has blossomed enormously. Anything about Samuel?
Oh, yes. Here's the Boston Post.
Dear, oh dear, poor Samuel. All those bricks right on top of him. Chimney collapses on Boston jurist. Well, for some people it takes a ton of bricks, you know.
How could they possibly have believed you?
They should be committed, shouldn't they, Doctor? Anything about Lilybell?
Your batting average for mischief is 100%, Mrs. Savage.
This is a horrible picture of Lilybell. Why, it would frighten even Fairy.
According to this, she resisted arrest.
So I see. Female vandal invades museum. Berserk heiress bites police. They really are fools, now aren't they, Doctor?
What do you hope to gain, Mrs. Savage?
Better terms.
For your freedom?
For my memorial fund.
Your children believe that money can be put to better use.
Of course. Their own. Lilybell settled just over $1 million on her 6 divorces, and Samuel and Tamara spent just as much to secure jobs to which they had no right. Is that better use, Doctor?
They consider your memorial fund most unorthodox, Mrs. Savage.
That's absurd. There are plenty of charities for helping desperate people in foolish need, but none for people with a desperate need to be foolish.
What brought you to that conclusion?
My own life. No matter what we have, we never forget the foolish things we never got. I'm sure if Hannibal had been given a violin when he wanted one, he wouldn't need one now.
That's quite possible.
I want my husband to be remembered with warmth and gratitude for a few foolish dreams that came true. I will not give up my memorial to him.
I want to discuss this with you further, but at the moment, you have visitors waiting. You may come in now, Senator. I'll be just outside if you want me.
My headache's gone.
How dare you make a fool of me? How dare you?
You tried to kill me! You knew that old chimney would follow me if I started pulling bricks out, didn't you?
We're not a very bright family, now are we?
Oh, you must be proud indeed to stand in with Savage who love to ridicule again.
Did you dig, Tamara?
8 FBI men dumped me. They pushed my face in the dirt. They thought I was planting a bomb.
Why didn't you tell the newspapers the truth? I did. Sleepwalking? Really?
Well, you try to think of an excuse with 8 men on your chest.
She'd love the chance.
It was learned today that Mrs. Ethel P. Savage, the actress, was recently committed for irresponsible actions. Democratic leaders were quick to point out that this might explain the strange career of behavior in Congress by the senator. Do you realize what this does to me politically?
Makes you a more canard, a dead duck. French, remember?
I'll never survive it, never!
They treated me like a common criminal. I was fingerprinted.
I meant to ask you, Lilybell, what is inside of a stuffed porpoise?
Do you know what the papers call us now?
The Mad Savages.
How do you like it?
What happened to those bonds?
What happened to your dignity?
Where is my money?
Where is your self-respect?
And may I ask just what you intend to do now?
Are you ready to listen to my terms? Or would you care to dig in Grant's tomb next?
We are prepared to compromise.
If by compromise you mean see things my way, then compromise is the right word.
We will consider effecting your release in the custody of someone for a period of time. It would look better for us.
And I'd be willing to give her complete freedom if she decided to give up acting and lead a dignified life.
Freedom, as Tamara can tell you, is the right to make the wrong decision.
What would we get?
That's what I like about you, Tamara. No nonsense. You shall each receive a reasonable yearly allowance.
How reasonable?
I shall be generous, but the bulk of my estate must be given away to the fund.
It's completely mad.
We might have the commitment revoked just to have you play another trick on us, and where would we be then?
Where are you now?
Get it over with, Tamara.
Very well. Write a retraction, Samuel.
I'm tired of having my decisions overturned.
Keep my promise, but I warn you, when you have me released, don't have me followed.
Samuel, wait a minute.
What is it?
I found the answer on the cover of this medical journal.
What are you talking about?
A way to avoid your compromise. But I have to see Dr. Emmett first.
Aren't you going to sign that petition, Lily
Tamara,
Bell?
don't you sign anything until I get back.
Lily Bell? What could she have read?
God knows.
Probably something to trick you again. If you listen to her, you won't see another cent.
Well, finish it, Samuel. Lily Bell's gotten us into trouble enough already.
Your and Samuel's signatures will be enough. Just hurry.
How many T's in commitment?
3.
2.
Doesn't look right.
Give it to me, I'll write it.
Give it back.
All it needs to say is commitment was ill-advised and request release. Will that satisfy you?
It will when you sign it.
Sign it, Samuel.
What are you doing?
We are signing the letter. Sign it, Lily Bell.
It isn't necessary.
You'll regret this, Lily Bell.
You've no right to act without consulting us.
Oh, do be quiet. Read that.
Read what?
The article on sodium pentothal. It's a... Well, perhaps I'd better let Dr. Emmett explain. Would you tell them what sodium pentothal does, Doctor?
It's generally used in cases of shock. It removes tension, releases the patient's inhibitions, and makes them receptive to suggestion.
It's called the truth drug.
That's not quite accurate, however,
But under its influence, the patient answers correctly. Isn't that right?
if they answer at all.
Now do you understand what I am talking about?
Did you want me, Dr. Emmett?
Yes, just a moment.
Doctor, get some of this truth drug and administer it to my mother at once.
Haven't I any rights at all, Doctor?
Dr. Emmett, may I say something? Surely you aren't going to listen to these people. It's a flagrant misuse of science.
Dr. Emmett, I order you to give my mother this truth drug at once.
Mrs. Savage, if I refuse, your guardians are quite within their legal rights to remove you from my authority. I'm confident they will find the means of subjecting you to the influence of sodium pentothal elsewhere.
Then let someone else be responsible, Doctor.
$10 million hidden from use does no one any good, least of all you. It remains an ever-present symptom of psychotic thinking. This is your opportunity to prove you are capable of making a rational decision. An intelligent mind recognizes defeat.
And let it be said I was not forced to my knees by science. I'll tell you where the bonds are. There.
Wait! We've come to the rescue! It's not too late.
We'll stand by you, Mrs. Savage.
We just happened to be listening. Shame on you! And you! And you!
Dr. Emmett, who are these people?
These are my friends.
Weren't you asked to stay upstairs, Hannibal?
I want to protest, Doctor.
Who gives you the right to protest, sir? This doesn't concern you!
I love you all for wanting to help me. But Dr. Emmett hasn't much choice, as you must have heard.
What will you do, Mrs. Savage?
Give them the bonds.
Well, are you going to tell us?
I'm going to show you. We are going to show you.
You heard it!
Here's your treasure.
My goodness, she's had them with her this whole time.
What happened to the lights?
Patty's here! Oh, Mrs. Patty! Mrs. Patty!
Where is the light? Someone turn those lights back on!
Just a moment. I'll turn the lights back
Tamara,
on.
for goodness sake, don't move. Someone might kill you.
Tamara, strike a
I
match!
haven't got a match!
Who is this?
No, let go of me.
Turn those lights on, do you hear me? Who turned those lights off?
One of our patients. Oh, Mrs. Patty.
Where's Lilybell?
She disappeared.
My gracious! What are you doing down there?
Somebody pushed me.
It wasn't me. I wasn't near enough.
They're gone! The bonds are gone!
Gone?
What did you do with them?
I set them right there. You saw me.
Then where are they?
Excuse me, Senator. I'd say Mrs. Patty has them. It seems clear to me that she turned off the lights, took the bonds, and ran away.
Miss Willie, get Mrs. Patty. Notify all the guards to stop her before she destroys those bonds.
I can't bear it. I simply cannot bear it. I am going to pieces.
This will calm you. Would you like to try it?
Dear Mrs. Patty. Come, girls. Let's go for a walk.
Wait, this is simply a madhouse!
Good. 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 All the wards have been locked off. The staff is alerted and Miss Willie is searching the basement now.
But did she find that woman?
Not yet.
Then what in heaven's name was the good about?
We're taking every possible precaution, Senator.
That maniac has $10 million worth of negotiable bonds. If they aren't found, they can't be replaced.
Well, what would she do with them, Doctor?
Oh, she'll probably eat them.
I don't know, but we're sure to recover them. It may take a little time.
Years, probably.
They were right in front of us, within our grasp. Why didn't you stop her?
How did I know the lights were going out?
It's quite possible Mrs. Patty didn't take the bonds at all.
Of course she did. No one else could have taken them.
You could have.
Lilybell was 10 feet away from the table when the lights went out.
She's mighty quick when it comes to money. Personally, I think she took them and shoved them down her front. Heaven knows there's room. Why don't you search her, Doctor?
You didn't take them, did you, Lilybell?
Can't you see she's trying to make us suspect each other?
Well, someone else could have taken them. He was nearest the table when the lights went out.
He was right beside it.
What do you have to say for yourself, sir?
I didn't take them. I don't like bonds.
The Queen of Spades! Someone is going to die!
Dr. Emmett, must we have all these people here?
Get them out of here. No. Don't let anyone leave our sight until that man's been searched.
Everyone, off with his clothes.
My glasses too.
Fairy, just a moment. Mrs. Savage, please don't make this any more difficult than you already have.
And for goodness sake, would you do something about this man's tossing cards everywhere? My nerves are on edge!
Hannibal, don't.
Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. I understand that you have a lovely tiara. Do you sleep in it?
Oh, sit down, you unattractive creature. I have had quite enough.
I don't like you.
Fairy, sit down and be quiet while we wait.
Very well.
Fairy.
Excuse me, I'm upset.
Well, Mrs. Patty, you have the entire staff searching for you.
Stop her! Don't let her get away!
I think you'd better join us, Mrs. Patty. We'd like to talk to you.
Now we'll find out what happened to those bonds. Hand them over, madam.
I think you'd better let me question her, Senator. She won't talk to you.
Oh, yes, she will.
Oh, no, she won't.
We'll just see about that. Madam, what do you have to say for yourself?
I hate everything in the world, but most of all, I hate revolving doors, cuspidors, fights, fuzz, fleas, bumblebees, prickly heat, bats, gnats, pills, pots, pans, butts, bladders, worms, germs, pachyderms, and politicians.
What does she mean?
Weren't you listening?
Excuse me, please.
Fairy.
Madam, did you hear what I asked you?
There's no need to shout at Mrs. Patty, Senator. She hears you well enough, but she's not going to answer you. She hasn't answered a question in 20 years.
Madam, don't you try any tricks on me.
Don't make her mad, Tamara. She carries a knife.
Please, Mrs. Savage. Mrs. Patty doesn't carry a knife. She's hostile, but quite harmless. Now, will you be kind enough to yield the floor to me, Senator?
Very well, but I want to hear her talk.
So do we all.
Mrs. Patty, this is quite important. Now I want you to nod yes or no to the questions I ask you. Now, did you take the bonds from the table a few minutes ago?
She did, and she didn't.
Oh, this is exciting! I wish we could open a door and have a body fall out.
Mrs. Patty, look at me. Do you remember turning the lights out? Yes, you do. And do you remember a little bundle of papers on the table? Try to remember. Think.
Dr. Emmett, I found them.
Oh, no, you don't. Hand those over to me.
Well, but Senator,
I'll
they're
take
not-
charge of those.
Oh, look! Radio tube!
You said you'd found the bonds.
I said nothing of the sort.
Where did you find them, Miss Willie?
The basement, in the hot air duct leading to Fairy's room.
I told you I was cold all winter, and you wouldn't believe me.
I hold you personally responsible for this fiasco, Doctor.
Just what would you suggest that I do, Senator?
Search that woman. She may have them hidden on her person.
I'm afraid this is going to present a problem.
Then search everyone else while we focus on making her talk.
Very well. Will you take Mrs. Savage to her room and search her, please?
No, take me! I'm the youngest and undressed quickest! Or do you want to draw straws?
You first, Fairy. I don't want to miss anything.
Thank you.
Would you like to come with me, Fairy?
Oh, yes. Do you know, I was once asked to play Lady Godiva for the Elks pageant, but I didn't. My mother was afraid of so many elks.
Wouldn't you like to save us a lot of trouble, Mrs. Patty?
Isn't there some kind of threat you could resort to here?
I don't threaten my patients. Mrs. Patty, look at me.
The truth drug.
Of course, the truth drug, then we can make her talk.
I'm afraid that's out of the question. I'd have to have her guardian's consent.
Very well, we'll get it. Who is her guardian?
Her husband?
I'll get him on the phone. Where is he?
Japan.
Well, in his absence, haven't you the authority to act?
We've no proof she took them yet.
I still think Lilybell's your girl.
Will you stop saying that?
Dr. Emmett,
Yes, Jeff?
since Mrs. Savage can't have the bonds, I think I can help you.
Yes.
Mrs. Patty didn't take them,
How do you know?
because I took them.
He's a thief! I knew we were being tricked! Hand them over, young man!
I can't.
Did you take them, Jeffrey?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what did you do with them?
I searched Fairy, Doctor. She
Speak
doesn't
up!
have them.
I threw them out the window.
Go outside quickly, Tamara. We'll watch from the window. Stop this girl!
But, Jeff, You couldn't have thrown them out the window. The window is closed.
Oh. It's stuck.
What do you mean by misleading us? Let go of him, you stupid ox!
He said he stole the bonds.
Well, he didn't, and I happen to know he didn't.
And just how do you happen to know that?
None of your business.
How do you know, Miss Willie?
Because I had my arms around Jeff when the lights went out. I wanted to protect him from being hurt during all the confusion.
Thank you, Miss Willie.
No, that's not true. I took them. No one else.
Dr. Emmett! Miss Willie! Something awful is happening! There's a fire upstairs with flames this high!
Really, Fairy? We've company.
Well, they're this high at least!
Fairy, come in and sit there quietly, please.
There's a fire! Please believe me, there's a fire upstairs!
Where?
In the bathtub!
Fairy, sit down.
I have to be careful. I'm full of pigs.
Jeff, if you took the bonds, where did you put them?
I told you, he couldn't have taken them.
Of course he couldn't. If anyone should know that, I should.
Oh, now I suppose you took them?
I confess everything.
There's a fire upstairs!
There's a conspiracy down here.
Where are they, Florence?
I won't tell you.
These people are trying to deceive us!
I've committed this theft with full knowledge of the stigma involved.
Something's burning upstairs!
Better search her.
Greedy little man.
Will you take Florence to a room and search her carefully?
Come along, Florence.
I'll never tell them where they are, Mrs. Savage, even if they put me in solitary confinement and cut off all my hair.
It's a waste of time to search, dear Florence.
Oh, now I suppose you took them?
No, but I know who did.
I know a fire when I see one.
Who did, Hannibal?
It wasn't Mrs. Patty.
Who was it?
It wasn't Florence either.
I don't want to know who it wasn't. I want to know who wasn't.
Is that good grammar?
If you ask a Mohammedan what God is, he'll tell you all the things he isn't. It's a lot easier than telling what he is.
And one of the things he isn't on your side.
Hannibal, if you know who took the bonds, will you tell us?
I don't know who took the bonds, but I know it was a woman, and I know it wasn't Mrs. Patty.
Oh, fiddle! Let the house burn!
How do you know?
A woman pushed me out of the way to get them.
How do you know it was a woman?
Really, Tamara?
How do you know it wasn't Mrs. Patty?
Mrs. Patty doesn't use perfume.
Lily Bell, babe, isn't it?
I was nowhere near the table.
Could you identify the scent?
I think so.
Well, I use gardenia. What do you use, Fairy?
No name. I make my own.
Hannibal? Smell Lily Bell.
Tamara! Tamara! I won't tolerate this! They're making fools of us for their own amusement!
Smell anything, Hannibal?
Yes,
What?
smoke.
High time!
I must be losing my mind, but I smell smoke too.
Excuse me, Dr. Emmett. I found a fire in Mrs. Patty's bathtub.
I don't think I'll speak to anyone!
In the bathtub?
I'm afraid it's the bonds. Or what's left of them.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
Well, let me see. Why, there's no possible way of telling what these are.
Mrs. Patty, did you take the bonds to your room and set fire to them?
Senator, here's a piece of something that didn't burn. Can you tell what it is?
It's the burned end of a $500,000 bond.
Are you sure? Mrs. Savage, can you identify this?
Treasure hunt's over. It's all that's left of $10 million.
I should have told a lie! Then someone would have believed me!
Yes, I'm sorry, Fairy. I should have believed you anyhow. There must be some way of having them replaced, Senator.
Well, there isn't.
They can't be gone. They just can't.
You miserably useless creature! Do you know what you've cost us?
Let her alone, Tamara. Never mind, Mrs. Patty.
I've stood for as much bullying of my patients as I intend to. Now would you be so kind as to leave? At once.
Well, what about the burnt piece? Isn't it worth anything?
Nothing. I hold you personally responsible for this, doctor.
I can't be poor. I just can't. I don't know how.
It's okay, Lily Bell. We'll survive. We always have. I am still senator.
I never intended it to be like this, Lily Bell. You must believe me.
Take me home, Tamara, please.
Tamara,
Yes?
what happens to me?
You have nothing to worry about. We would never allow you to be sent to a public institution.
We are savages.
Goodbye! We say goodbye to people that we don't want to see again!
Oh, don't cry, Mrs. Patty. I'm sure you hate tears, too.
Maybe she thinks her tub is cracked.
Did you think you could change them, Mrs. Savage?
No one can change people. One makes changes they hope people will learn to accept. I'd hope by making them look like fools, they would look with understanding on the fools of good heart.
And who are the fools of good heart, Mrs. Savage?
I'd say those who gamble on people and invest in kindness. Those who doubt that position means privilege or that manners mean morals. And most of all, the rebels. No fear of failure.
That makes very good sense.
And justifies my being here.
Would you like to leave?
They'd never let me go.
They have nothing to say about it. No patient's commitment is final until I have made my decision, and I find no valid reason for your remaining.
Does that mean I'm free?
Well, I could release you on my own authority at once, but let me get the state medical inspector on the telephone. Then I'll let you know definitely.
I think I'll pack your suitcase. Just in case. We can always unpack again later.
You hate us!
Now, why would you say that, Fairy?
You want to leave us!
But, Fairy, I must.
Is someone waiting for you?
No,
Someone need you?
no.
But you can't go! I haven't had time to get you a going-away present. Maybe I could find a suitable present anyhow if you won't be fussy. I'll go look.
I'd like to see what I can find for you too, Mrs. Savage. Will you wait?
Oh, fun! Come on, everybody, let's see what we can find.
I have something. I just remembered.
Don't leave before we get back now, or you won't get anything.
I'll try to find something useless. I do abhor practical gifts.
There's nothing in my room you'd want, Mrs. Savage. But I have something on me that I prize. My class ring. Inside it says, "Let there be light." Something Mrs. Patty would hate.
No, Hannibal, I couldn't take the ring off your finger.
But I insist. It has no value as gold goes, but as blood goes, it's a statistical treasure. My heart has pumped blood through this ring every 2 minutes for 10 years. That adds up roughly to about 100,000 gallons of blood.
It's too much, Hannibal.
Oh, not at all. But I don't seem to be able to get it off.
Hannibal, I deeply appreciate the offer, the sentiment, and the statistics.
My finger's grown a lot since high school.
Never mind, Hannibal. It's simply grown to be a part of you.
All out of breath, feel my heart.
Why, Fairy dear.
But I found something. I hope you didn't expect much, because then you won't be disappointed.
I won't be disappointed.
I couldn't find anything to wrap it in except Kleenex.
What is it, Mrs. Savage?
A handkerchief.
Oh no, it's a napkin. So many places serve paper napkins, but they blot or smear.
Of course. I'll take it with me whenever I'm invited out.
Look, it says the Cloisters on it. Wasn't that lucky?
Oh, Fairy found something first. What did she give you?
A hand-picked napkin.
Then it fits perfectly with my gift. It is practical, after all. I do hope you don't mind.
Florence, you shouldn't have.
What is it?
A salt shaker.
And full of salt, too.
It's engraved. It says the Cloisters on it.
You've gone to too much trouble.
Oh, it was nothing.
Is it sterling?
Fairy, I wouldn't dream of giving Mrs. Savage anything that wasn't sterling.
Oh, it's dented.
Really, Fairy? Dents give it an antique character.
Indeed they do.
Well, I'm not going to say goodbye. I can't stand goodbyes. I don't recognize them.
Didn't expect us to say goodbye, did you?
I didn't even expect a salt shaker.
How do you do, Mrs. Savage? We've so looked forward to meeting you.
We're glad you're here at last. Make yourself at home.
I almost forgot. John Thomas wanted me to give you something from him. He was afraid you'd catch his measles if he delivered it himself. Come, Fairy. Let's pretend it's garden hour.
Excuse us, please. We have to dig weeds. Take an umbrella. It's raining.
Well, Jeffrey, what did you bring?
Just a book, but I hope you enjoy it.
The Lifespan of the Ape. You know, I've never read it before.
I was lucky, wasn't I?
I'll read it as soon as I get home.
We thought you'd forgotten us, Mrs. Patty.
What did you get, Mrs. Patty?
Oh, how'd you know? Exactly what I needed.
May I see it?
A genuine mother of pearl button. I'll sew it on at once.
I think it's supposed to be an eye for the bear.
Of course. Bless your angry heart. He's hated having only one eye. We both thank you.
I hate everything in the world. I hate everything in the world, but I hate everything in the world but you, and I love you, and I wish you wouldn't leave us.
Why, she said she loved me.
Well,
Aren't you amazed?
We knew all along.
But she spoke.
She had to. Just say it.
well, Jeffrey, so shall we see what the girls are up to? It's a lovely night, and everybody's polite. Watch out. Don't break your neck.
You have a good seat.
Everything's all packed. Here's your $85 hat. I told you you'd need it again.
My beautiful and foolish hat.
You know, I think you've been wearing it backwards.
You know, I think you're right. It's good to be set straight.
Where did everyone go?
They all gave me going away presents, then refused to say goodbye.
I bet I can guess what they gave you.
No, you can't. Miss Patty gave me an eye with which to see the world. And Florence, a grain of salt to take with what I see.
That's nice. And Fairy?
A memory of loveliness.
I'm afraid to most people she wouldn't seem a lovely girl.
She wears her plainness with great beauty.
And Jeff?
The Book of Job.
Nothing from Hannibal?
I'd say he gave me an appreciation for music I never had before.
Well, I have something to give you too.
Now you behave yourself.
It isn't much.
Better not be. My bonds.
Except for a corner of one, which I had to burn with the newspapers to make it look convincing.
Where did you find them?
I didn't find them. I stole them when the lights went out.
Why?
I'm not sure.
Don't tell me you're a kleptomaniac now, too.
It was too quick to think. What bothers me is that after I took them, I toyed with the idea of keeping them.
That's a normal impulse. Why didn't you?
I thought about what Jeff might think.
That type of thinking isn't good for you, my dear. You must get out of here.
But you knew Jeff was my husband, didn't you?
I most certainly did not.
Well, he is. And I want to be here when he recovers. I don't want the money. I just want my husband to be well again. Surely you can understand that.
The only thing I don't understand is how I could have felt so sorry for myself. There's nothing like no fool, like an old fool.
I don't think that applies to you.
Does anyone else know about these?
I told Dr. Emmett.
Well, whether you like it or not, you'll both be hearing from my memorial fund.
I talked to the medical examiner.
And?
The station wagon is outside, ready to take you whenever you want to go. Will you take Mrs. Savage's bag out to the car?
Yes, doctor.
I have a few papers for you to sign, Mrs. Savage. Then you're free to leave.
I must really be losing my mind. Because I don't think I want to go.
You mean you'd prefer to leave tomorrow?
I don't think I want to leave at all.
Why do you want to stay?
Suddenly, I'm weary. I would like to rest. I would like to be relieved of decision. I would like to be free from consequence and accident. I would like to close my eyes at night and know that there are walls to guard my sleep.
But the peace you find here is the moon reflected on a dark lake. Strike the surface, and you destroy it. Is that the kind of peace you want?
I want what everyone wants. To want nothing. These people have found contentment.
How do you know?
Because I have eyes to see.
So has Jeffrey. But he only sees what he wants to see. An excuse for not facing the future. Does Florence see that her child was taken from her? Does Fairy see what the mirror should tell her? No. They found refuge in an eggshell world where you don't belong. For you see yourself clearly, I'm sure.
Then where do I belong, Doctor?
In the world you can best serve. The impulse to live your life with courage was right. Go ahead with your memorial. And don't be betrayed by the illusion of contentment. The door is open for you. Make peace with your loneliness.
Oh, I'm glad you're still here. I just thought of what I can give you.
Oh, Hannibal, not your violin.
Oh, no, you couldn't play it. But I can give you a song you can take wherever you go. Here is your song.